I made a video a few months back. If I had to start everything all over again in 2024, how would I start real estate investing? And how would I start building a foundation that led me to a $7 million portfolio in less than 10 years? That video did pretty well, and I got a lot of good comments, and a lot of people reached out asking me if I could go deeper into the concepts that I presented in that video. So in this video, that's what I want to do. I want to talk about the 3 most basic and my favorite beginner real estate investing strategies that I personally used in the last 10 years that helped me build a portfolio that is worth now over $7 million. I also generate over $25,000 in revenue and passive income per month. And none of this is rocket science. I promise you, these strategies are easily implementable. I don't need you to copy the scenarios and the examples that I'm gonna give you, but I want you to understand. And I'm telling you, there's nothing magic about them. These are real life strategies. Once you go out there and understand these concepts and try to find these opportunities, I'm telling you, you'll find them everywhere. There's plenty of opportunity out there. Even in these crazy times, these types of opportunities are not going anywhere. These are the most basic, profitable real estate investing strategies that you can use today and find today that will help you build that foundation just like me. So let's just get right into it. The first strategy that I want to get into is the BRRRR strategy. So the BRRRR strategy is when you buy a place, renovate it, rent it, and refinance at the higher appraised value and pull the equity out and repeat all over again. The BRRRR strategy is just the most foundational concept that you have to understand when getting into real estate. If you understand the BRRRR philosophy and why it works, then every real estate opportunity out there is essentially using some part of this strategy, if not all of them, and you'll be much more confident when you go and find these opportunities and find any real estate investment out there. Because essentially everything you're trying to do in real estate is either creating an opportunity that cash flows per month, so gives you income, profit per month, so the rental coming in is more than all the costs that you put into the house. The other strategy is betting on appreciation. Betting on a place that's going to appreciate over time. So you buy a place worth today, let's just pretend $400,000, and in 5 years it's now worth $500,000. You just made $100,000 over 5 years through appreciation. So the best strategies in real estate combine cash flow and appreciation, and that is how you really become rich in real estate. The BRRRR model is what puts these strategies together. So let's just get into it. And the best way that I explain this to my clients and the people that reach out to me is just through an example. So in my case, what I did when I was finding an opportunity was I was trying to find a place that I knew that would cash flow. So a place that I can find for a reasonable price that I didn't have to spend too much money on, and the rent coming in would at least break even. So that's the goal that I was looking for in this scenario. And what I landed on was a student rental near college and university that was 3 bedrooms, 1 washroom, and a big kitchen and a family room. But the key to this place was that there was a huge unfinished basement and a very large backyard that could fit an additional unit. So this place that I bought as is was around $300,000. It was around 320 with all the costs in. It was a 3 bedroom, pretty small house, again, with an unfinished basement, but a huge backyard. So when I bought it as is, it was pretty renovated, it was move-in ready. I could easily have rented the place, bringing students in the 3 bedrooms, $500-600 a room, $1,500 to $1,800 per month. Very realistic, very doable, and that's the current state that it was when I bought it. But what I did was, prior to buying this, and the reason why I bought this is because I worked with a few contractors. And when I was doing the house inspection and finding out what the real potential of this place was, that's when the contractors told me how much I could do in that basement and also in the family room upstairs and that backyard. They told me that I could legally put in a whole other unit in the basement, another 2 bedroom, another kitchen and washroom. I could also turn the family room upstairs and divide it into 2 and add another bedroom and keep a big enough family room for everyone to have a common area. And in the backyard, I was able to produce another unit, a 2-bedroom unit with a washroom and kitchen, all fully legal. So the point is that this house, as is, was bought as a 3-bedroom, small house with an unfinished basement, priced at around $300,000. Around a $50,000 addition, me renovating the house, I was able to add another 2 bedrooms in the basement, and the bedroom upstairs. I haven't done the ADU yet, but I've added 3 bedrooms to this configuration. I've now turned this house from a 3 bedroom to a 6 bedroom, much more nicely renovated. And now from an investor's perspective, this house is bringing in around $600 per room, and I have 6 rooms. That's $3,600 per month. So my $300,000 house that I bought originally, that was bringing in around $1,500, is now bringing in $3,600 per month from an investor's perspective. So the equity has doubled. So I can easily, in the market today, get an appraisal done, which I've already done, and now this place is worth over $550,000 that I could easily sell for today. So let's just do the math on this. I bought the house for $300,000. Let's just say all-in cost was around $320,000. I put in $50,000 in for renovations. That's $370,000. I can sell this for $550,000. That's $180,000 of pure equity after the renovations were done within 6 months. So that is the power of what we call the BRRRR model. You find a place that's kind of distressed or has this hidden potential, and you renovate it to that potential. And because of that, the cost that you put in is the base cost. The place now is worth more because of the sweat equity that you put in, because the time and effort that you put in is also worth money. Now that new appraisal comes in at a much higher price, and all of that equity is now yours, and you can pull that money out. So now that's the beauty. I can go to a bank, I get the appraisal done for $550,000. I'm allowed to pull out 80% of the equity. Let's just pretend for easy math, I have $200,000 in equity. The bank is gonna keep 20%, and they're gonna let me pull out 80%. So $160,000 is coming back into my pocket tax-free. I don't have to pay any tax on that. Now I have $160,000, which covered well over my initial investment, my renovation, and I can go do it all over again. That is the beauty of the BRRRR model. And that is what we mean by taking advantage of a place and renovating it to increase its cash flow, and then also increasing its appreciation. And that is how the biggest real estate investors in the game get rich. The second strategy that is my favorite, and this is what I initially started with when I bought my first house, was a student rental. Just a standalone student rental house. I didn't do anything crazy with it. It was just cash flowing property that I wanted to get into. So the student rentals to me are just my favorite option because there's so many subtle points to it that make it so attractive and safe, much more safer in my perspective than any other real estate rental option. So let's break it down. One of my favorite aspects of it is that you're renting by multiple rooms. You're not just renting the entire house to a single family, you're actually able to rent the house and the rooms individually to different students. Of course, based on all the legal limits and city laws, you have to do it properly, but in general, you are renting by rooms. And that is very attractive to me because one of my biggest fears is when I rent or when I only buy a place that has a single family and I'm only renting to that single family, my biggest fear is that family or that person that I'm renting to is gonna stop paying the rent, right? All my rental income and my rental revenue is tied to one single person or one single unit. And that to me is just not a good situation if that person stops paying. Now all my revenue is tied to that single point, that single person, and my revenue stops. All the revenue just stops. And I'm gonna now have to pay the mortgages and all the expenses out of my pocket the moment that happens. So to avoid that situation, having multiple rooms rented out to multiple individuals or students completely protects my investment. You're obviously dealing with a little bit more work and a little bit more calls, but the safety aspect of your rent going to zero, for me, outweighs all of the calls or the extra work that's involved with student rentals. So that's one thing. It's a peace of mind. The probability of your rental going to zero is pretty low. Number two is you're gonna get higher rent. Imagine you're renting a single house to a single family. There's a maximum that you're ever gonna get, and that's essentially what your mortgage is. There's always this maximum what a single family can afford. And that's the cap. No matter how many rooms you have or how nice that place is, whatever the market demand is for a single family rental in that area, that is what's gonna happen. That's how much rental you're gonna be getting. But with student rentals, because you're renting by the number of rooms, the minimum number of rooms that I find for student rentals is 6. That's the magic number that I have. For a single family renting a 6-bedroom house, let's just say 4 upstairs and 2 in the basement, it doesn't really matter if it's a 6-bedroom, 5-bedroom, 4-bedroom. There's gonna be a cap of how much that single family can afford and how much the rental is for a single family in that area. So the maximum that I could find for the houses that I had initially were $2,000, $2,500 per month, and that was the cap for the area that I was in for single families. It didn't matter for how many rooms I had. But the same house positioned near a university or college that's 6 bedrooms or 7 bedrooms, you can now rent it for $500, $600 minimum based on the quality and what you're offering to the students. Let's just say it's $500. You're now getting around $3,500 per month. So that's well over what you would get by renting to a single family. So your cash flow is much higher when you rent by individual rooms. And the potential to go higher is unlimited. The way that, just like I explained in the Burr model, if you can find houses that you can increase the number of units legally and add more creative ways, like different services like better furnishings, cleaning services, high-speed internet, and you're strategically located very close to a university that's walkable, you're going to be able to demand premium rents, and your cash flow is only going to go up. The other piece of student rentals is the demand. Since when have you ever heard of a university or college shutting down? If you're strategically placed near a good university or reputable college, the demand for student rentals is always going to be there. Students are always going to need a place to live. Students are not going anywhere, especially with the trend for globalization and all of the people coming from all over the world that have access to education in other countries. The demand for student rentals, in my mind, is only going to go up. So inherently, the strategy is very safe. You're always going to have tenants. You're always going to have an opportunity to rent, and you're never gonna have this negative downturn and somehow all of a sudden all the students in the area are gonna go away. That generally is not gonna happen. So the rentals potential and the tenant demand for rent is always gonna be there, so your investment is pretty safe in that regard. The other strategy that I wanna talk about is pre-construction condos. And again, this is something I took advantage of. This is an amazing strategy to help build wealth without lifting a finger if you do it right. With pre-construction condos, there's a lot of subtlety to this that makes it an amazing strategy, but you have to do it right. So the underlying strategy is you're buying a place that's not built yet, you're buying a place with today's price and betting that after the condo or that unit is built in the future, that the appreciation will go up. So you're buying a place today at today's price. It's gonna take the builder 2, 3, 4, 5 years to build the building. And since you bought it at today's price, if you wait those years, generally speaking, the bet is that the value of that land that you bought or the value of that unit that you bought in those years has gone up, right? So for example, you buy a condo today for $300,000. It takes 3 years to build. Let's just say average appreciation was 4% per year. Well, you just made 12% just by sitting there and waiting for the condo to be built. And when it's ready to be done and it's ready to be sold, or when it's built, you sell it for a profit, and that is the strategy. The other thing with pre-construction condos is you don't need the full deposit up front, right? So this is something that I did when I was fully invested in all my houses early on. I still had this itch to keep going, and I took advantage of the pre-construction condo strategy with the remaining money that I had, because the deposit structures work in general is that you do not need the full 20% upfront. Generally speaking, you can do a 5% upfront payment right away, and then the rest of the payments are negotiable. So in my case, I was giving 5% upfront, then I gave another 5% in 6 months, another 5% in 18 months, and another 5% when the condo was built. The full 20% is spread over time, so it gives you the ability to save if you don't have the full deposit today, but it gives you that ability to get into the real estate game without a full deposit. That is really critical, and that's, again, you have to play it safe. You have to make sure that you're gonna have the money to give, and you're gonna be able to save that money. Otherwise, you're gonna lose the deposit that you've already put in. But if you do it right, this is a fantastic strategy to get into the game without the full 20% needed. And generally, you have a lot more time to give the remaining 5% and the whatever deposit structure you negotiated. You have a lot of time to save for that and put that money in. So as long as you do the due diligence, you're buying a place that has that appreciation. The more people coming in, the demand is going up. If you find that right area, generally what you want to look for is a reputable builder. You want to look for any news in the city. Is there any more infrastructure upgrades? Is there going to be new train lines or buses, and any more expansion of transportation? Is there any investment in new schools or campuses or any new jobs? Look for those types of news articles. Look for where you think the demand is going to go or increase, and where there's investments being made, or there's expected to be more population increase. If you can find that type of area and you can find a good price today, lock it in, wait the couple years for the condo to be built, save while it's being built, well, you can make some serious money without lifting a finger. You don't have to worry about tenants, you don't have to worry about mortgage payments, you don't have to worry about applying for a mortgage today. You can wait till the condo is actually done. And again, if you do it right, there's serious money to be made. So that is another great strategy to use, and something I've taken advantage of. And again, if you want to learn more and you want to talk about that, leave a comment below, and I'm more than happy to answer any of your questions. So these are the most basic strategies that you can find anywhere today when you go looking for them. And if you want to specifically know how I used the BRRRR model and combined it with the student rental and made over $254,000, check this video out here.